Hiya, Angie here. Now, over the past few weeks, I have had the pleasure in getting to know some of you through your comments and through personal emails that you have sent me. And the common theme amongst all the messages that I received is the fact that a lot of you, when it comes to red flags, when it comes to dating, when it comes to online dating, when it comes to the suffering and the pain and the heartache, you are done. Now, the truth is, I believe in love. I do. I actually do. I'm a romantic at heart, to tell you the truth. And I do have love in my life. But unfortunately, I also know what ignoring certain red flags, the devastation and the pain that it can cause. And I don't want that for you. I don't want that for anyone. That's why it means a lot to me to try to make sure that you ladies are taking care of your mental health and that you are safe. It means the world to me that you are. I don't want to hear about any other loss. I don't think my heart or my spirit can take it. But we'll talk about that maybe another time. But for now, the thing that I am really happy about is that a lot of you women are concentrating on yourself. You're thinking about your jobs. You're thinking about success. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it when women are ambitious, when they're driven, when they feel empowered, and when they seek success. I really, really do. And if I can in any way, in any teeny weeny, eeny wincy way, help towards that, then I am proud to do so. Now, on my end, a little bit of success I've achieved because I've set different goals and I've been able to achieve quite a few of them, even though it's a constant learning curve and I strive to grow every single day. Now, if you're interested in knowing the steps that I took and the steps that I believe need to be taken in order to obtain success, no matter what success looks like for you, because success is different for every single one of us. If you're interested in this topic and you want to know more, I know by now that you know what to do. And that is, don't go anywhere. Now, the first thing I think you need on your road to success, and that is to have a plan. You have to know what you want and you have to know where you want to go. If you don't have a plan and if you're not sure what it is that you want, how are you going to get there? How are you going to obtain it? It doesn't make any sense. So it has to be clear in your mind what success is for you and what you're prepared to do to get it. Now, I've always thought, when I thought about having success, I had to dream it. I had to see it in my mind's eye. It had to be something that was so close that I could almost reach out and touch it. It had to be something that I could feel in the pits of my stomach, that fire burning. It's something that I close my eyes and I can see it. If you can't envisage it, if you can't dream it, if you can't picture it, then the chances are it's not going to happen for you. So for me, it is so important, the fact, whatever it is that success is for you, that you are able to dream it, to touch it. Now, another thing I think you need to do in order to obtain success, and that is to work at it. And that means that you have to be prepared to put in the hours, to put in the work. When everybody else is stopping and going home, when everybody else is done for the day, that's when you're just about getting started. There are no time limits, there are no hours. You crack the whip, you just get on with it. I remember when I started singing and I started writing songs, I used to sit there and I used to write my lyrics and I used to look for my melodies and I would say, no, scrap that, that doesn't sound good. And I would start again and I would record it and I would listen to it and I didn't like it and I would scrap it and I would do it again and I would write the words. I hated the words. I'd bunch up the paper and throw it away. I used to go through all of that until at a certain point I used to hear birds singing. And I was thinking, why are birds singing in the middle of the night? and I would look up and there's daylight. I used to be so engrossed in my work, in what I was doing, that I didn't even realize that night had come and gone. That for me is putting in the work. And you don't just do it once a week, you don't just do it twice a week, but every single day you put in the work, you put in the effort, and you work until you are able to perfect whatever it is that you're trying to do. Now, what do I mean by set yourself apart? That just means, what do you offer? What is your uniqueness? What is it that only you can offer, that only you bring to the table? Why should someone come to you? Why should someone choose you over somebody else? I remember back in the day when I started singing, I started off doing session work. And session work means I used to go to the different studios, they had a song, they needed a singer, and I would go and sing it for them or do backing vocals for them. Now, sometimes the studio, if I was fortunate enough, it was close by where I lived. And sometimes the studio was at the other end of the country. So that meant that they had to fly me in. They would pay for a hotel room. They would pay for food and board. They would pay for the studio time. And then, of course, they would have to pay me for my work. That was a lot of money that they had to go through. So I remember back in the day, I was one of the few singers who actually had a home studio. Now, there were quite a few musicians that had them, but I personally didn't know any singer that had a home studio. So that set me apart from the others. That meant that they saved money on airfare, they saved money on food and lodgings, they saved money on studio time. The only thing that they had to do was pay me for what I did. So that really set me apart. And so that was my uniqueness. That was what I brought to the table. The fact that I was autosufficient and that I could save them a whole heap of money. So you know that they were happy about that. So again, you have to figure out, what is it that you bring to the table? Why are you unique? Why should they come to you? The next thing you have to do, I believe, if you want to be successful, and that is play the game. And this is something that I personally didn't do much of, if I'm really honest, and it did kind of hinder me a little bit. Well, what do I mean by play the game? Well, let me give you an example. If you work in an office, maybe every Friday night, some of your colleagues, they meet up at a bar for drinks. You just talk, get to know each other. Now, you might think, look, I've seen them all week, I want to go home, and that's fine. But when you do that, the next time when there's a promotion, they'll be thinking, oh yeah, I remember her. Yeah, she came out, but she comes out with us on Friday nights. She's a good laugh, she's fun. It makes you relevant. Playing the game means being where you need to be to put you on the radar, that the powers that be, that those that decide, remember who you are and know who you are. For me, because I used to work in television, I used to get about 3 or 4 times a year, I would receive tickets to some special event where there were going to be celebrities and VIPs. And they would send me tickets +1. Now, in all honesty, I never used to go. I don't think I went to even one. And people used to say, well, why don't you go? And I think I probably should have. But it's not my scene. I like to stay home. I like to be with my family. I love the work that I do. I love to travel. I liked working in TV and singing and doing all of that. Didn't necessarily mean that I wanted to mingle. I wanted to go through, a certain kind of falseness that you have to go through. And it really wasn't my scene. I chose not to play the game. It's up to you. Are you prepared to play the game? Whatever the game is in your situation, then go for it. Or are you like me and say, you know what, no thank you, I think I'll just take my chances. Now, one of the most really important steps to success I think you need, and that is consistency. You have to be consistent at meeting deadlines. You have to be consistent at being able to resolve problems. You have to be consistent at being professional. You have to be consistent at being a positive person. You have to be consistent when it comes to managing other people. Consistency builds trust. If people know that you're consistent, if they know what they can expect from you, then they will be able to trust you. This for me is probably one of the most important steps. Be consistent. Now, another thing you need to be, and that is flexible. There are some people that will try the same things over and over and over again. They're just so stuck in their ways and stubborn because they believe this is the road that they need to take to get to success. And it's not working. Why isn't it working? And they're forcing it. Sometimes you just need to take a breath, step back, and make a couple of minor adjustments. And those minor adjustments can be what makes you succeed or what can make you fail. You know, they say a sign of madness is doing the same things over and over and over again, expecting different results. If you try something and it doesn't work, be flexible enough. Think outside the box enough to try something else. And maybe, who knows, maybe this time this will succeed. So don't be afraid to be flexible and try different strategies. It might work for you. It will work for you. Now this one is something that can be kind of optional. It depends on what friendships and family means to you. There's something which I call the friendship pyramid. And that is thinking about the pyramid. At the very top of that pyramid, where the peak is, I would put your real friends, those that support you, those that will come out for you time and time again, those that will walk and talk about you and tell everybody just how wonderful you are, just how successful you are. They encourage you. They are your main supporters. Those are the ones at the tip of the pyramid. Then in the middle of the pyramid, there are those who, yes, they're your friends and family that support you. They care about you. They wish you well. They don't want bad for you. They want you to do well. They wish you all the best. It's just that they don't want you to do better than them. If they see from the corner of their eye that you are overtaking them when it comes to success, it throws them off a little bit. They're not too happy. They want to be the front runners. They want to be the ones that are successful. They don't mind you being successful. They want you to be, just not more than them. Then there are those other people who claim that they are friends, who you might even call your friends, but they're not. They are those people that are almost offended at the fact that you want to better yourself. You mean we went to the same school, we grew up on the same street, we went to the same church. Now who do you think you are? You want to be a doctor, you want to be a nurse, you want to work in the office. What, you think you're better than us? You think you're better than me? Some may not be so vocal, but you can tell. When you tell them about your little successes, you think that they're your friends and you're sharing with them and you're telling them your little successes and what you've done, and you can feel the room getting cold. You can feel the stares that they're not so happy. So be mindful of that. I honestly believe if you do have those one or two friends or family members that are supportive, if you have them, I definitely believe that you should keep them in your corner. And if you don't, it's better to be alone than to be with people who aren't really your friends and do not wish you well. Now, I also believe that in order to have success, you have to be prepared to a certain amount of sacrifice. Sacrifice your time, sacrifice your hobbies, sacrifice your sleep, sacrifice a steady income from a normal paying job, sacrifice your friends and sometimes your family. Now, this is another one which I didn't do. I didn't follow. And as much as I wanted success, and as much as I'm ambitious and I'm driven, I wasn't really prepared to sacrifice my family. Mainly for the fact is, what's the point in having success if you have no one to share it with. If I sacrifice everything and everyone around me, once I reach the top, and if I should reach the top, I'm going to look around and there's going to be no one who's going to say, yay, you did it. It's just going to be me sipping the champagne on my own. I personally didn't want that. It wasn't for me. So for my personal journey, it slowed things down a little bit because maybe they called me to go abroad, to go on a tour that lasted months and months. And I was not really prepared to sacrifice my family for it. But that doesn't mean that you have to do what I did. We all are free to make our choices. And of course, you have to do what works for you. Now, this is something that I talk about on this channel quite a bit, and that is not to be afraid of failure. People who don't try don't fail. Do you know how many successful people have failed, have one or two or several failures behind them? So yeah, I get it. Nobody wants to fail. We all want to succeed. And you might be angry, you might be frustrated, you might be deflated, and you might also be a little bit embarrassed if you do fail. But you know what? You're allowed to feel those emotions, but then after you felt it, keep on going. Don't give up. Don't quit. Just keep on going. You will get there in the end if you're consistent. If you put in the work, you will get there. Don't make failure turn you around. Don't make failure stop you from being who you want to be, or doing what you want to do, or from arriving where you want to go. Don't give up. Okay, you hear me? Can I say it loud enough? Don't give up. Keep going, keep going, keep going. You'll get there. I know you will. Never get to the point where you think that you know everything. You've learned everything. You've reached the highest point and there's nothing else for you to learn. There is always something for you to learn. Things are always evolving. Situations change. Technology change. The world changes. And you have to change with it. So there's always different things that you can come up with. Think outside the box. I know for me, there's always something that I can learn when it comes to music, when it comes to writing. I hear songs that I did 2 years ago and it's like, cringe. I'm sure I could do better now because I've evolved, I've improved. Maybe 5 years down the line, I will hear what I'm doing now and it's going to be the same thing. It's like, I could do better because we're always evolving, always improving. So never think that you've reached a point where you have nothing else to learn, because you always do. There is always something to learn. And finally, people who are successful are people who are not afraid of taking risks. Invest in something innovative or experimental. Hire or train new talent. Write a song that is different from the usual genre. You know, take a risk. Do something that is not expected. And yes, you might take a risk and you might fail. But here's the thing. What if you don't? So don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to be a risk taker. And don't be afraid to be you. So there you go. There you have it. Those are the steps that I believe you need in order to reach your goals, in order to be successful. I really hope that you got value from this video. If you did, just press like, or write a comment down below and let me know if you took different steps in order to be successful. And what does successful mean to you? I really enjoy reading your comments and I actually really enjoy replying. So thank you so much for stopping by, and thank you so much for keeping me company today. It's been great seeing you and I can't wait until I see you again. But until then, be kind to yourself and to others. Take care. Bye for now. Ciao.